Here's the audience.
So today I'm going to talk about human euthanasia, and I just want to thank everybody for coming to listen to my persuasive speech. People do not choose their illness, but they should be able to choose their fate. This is why euthanasia should be legalized. The rapid increase in medical knowledge, technology, and intervention often allows terminal illness to linger. The death process is often protracted, painful, and undignified, says Andre. Terminal illness is one example. No human should be forced to suffer or live in a prolonged agony if death is an inevitable outcome. The Exit, which is a euthanasia society, believes that the mercy of a painfulest death should be allowed when one is faced with a terminal illness. Pro-choice advocated that a statement should be signed by the dying patient at least 30 days in advance stating their wishes to be euthanized. This should be treated just like a DNR document or a living will and should be honored accordingly. Nearly 90% of the general population agreed that assisted suicide would be favored if faced with the severe pain or severe breathlessness. Respondents believed they would not only burden their families but leave them physically helpless, says Engdahl. There are many reasons why euthanasia should be legalized, but I'm just going to focus on a few. It is illegal to euthanize a human with a terminal illness, yet sick and old animals are euthanized regularly. There are obviously a huge difference between human and animal life, but if we as a society feel compassion for other creatures, why can't we feel the same for human beings? Clearly, the acceptable circumstances for euthanasia in humans should fall under more of a critical guideline than for animals, but if moral and ethical guidelines are established, problems can be addressed. If a human faces a terminal illness that is irreversible, euthanasia should be an option, just as it is allowed for animals. This gives the family a chance to say goodbye knowing that the pet/family member will no longer be in pain or allowed to deteriorate in their last days of their lives. Animal euthanasia is involuntary as owners have the choice to alleviate a pet's discomfort out of compassion. The animal, however, does not have a say in this choice. They are injected with a solution that slows organs and induces coma. This takes only a few minutes and they pass in a peaceful death. This drug is referred to as the most peaceful death imaginable and it never fails, says an Australian doctor named Philip. He believes pets have it good in the end. This is Brittany Maynard, and she decided to use Death with Dignity in 2015, and I'm just going to tell her story. So Brittany was 29 years old, and she chose to die with dignity. Due to a terminal brain tumor, not only cut her life short, but left her last few months extremely painful. She was determined to end the pain. Although her husband and family didn't want to let her go, they recognized how much she was suffering, so they put their feelings aside and decided to move to Oregon. Oregon adopted the right to die with dignity laws, also referred to as assisted suicide or human euthanasia. She told her story to the world, explaining her decision to take her life on November 1st, 2015. Brittany said that she was thankful to have the choice not to have to bear any more pain and could go peacefully with her family by her bedside. Doctors have described what her last few months would entail and the excruciating pain and suffering she would experience. She didn't want to live like that, nor did she want her family to have to witness such an event. Not only is it unhuman, but the financial burden for those left behind would be astronomical. Brittany was able to do what she needed before she died, and she was able to prepare and take her last breath with her family by her side. She also went peacefully. As like animals, humans should have the right to pass in peace and in painless nature when there is not another alternative cure. Humans are given the right to administer a DNR. This eliminates the chance to prolong their life in a state of vegetation or ongoing pain. A DNR can also reduce the suffering of family members having to watch their loved ones deteriorate. In a study published by Medical Economics show that almost half the U.S. physicians support legalization of euthanasia. It is hard to distinguish the difference from a physician-assisted suicide and removing a patient from life support. According to the American Medical Association, there are a few affirmative acts that take place before withdrawing from life support. Hospice practice the slow euthanasia technique. They sedate the patient to relieve the pain to an unconscious state. Nutrition and hydration are withheld and eventually lead to pneumonia, starvation, kidney failure, and respiratory failure. This is a result in a long, slow, drawn-out process which can be detrimental to everyone involved. It is, however, legal for physicians in hospice to initiate medicine to relieve pain even to in a coma state to keep the patient comfortable. No one should be made to face this type of torture, and that's why euthanasia should be an option. The government has decided that euthanasia is against the law, and in Idaho, if a person provides a physical means or participates in a physical act to assist in a person's death, it would be considered a guilty by felony. That's from assisted suicide laws in the United States. It has been noted that even with such a heavy sentence in the United States, 2/3 have assisted with illegal assisted suicide when family members or patients are terminally ill and wish to die with dignity and peace, says Andre. Individuals should have the ultimate decision to end their misery, their last moments with their family in a happy state of mind, and should be the patient's choice. Strict guidelines should be followed and safeguards put in place to provide appropriate legal and proper medical measures. Euthanasia is a last resort if no other options are available to allow terminal patients to die with dignity. The 14th Amendment could be interpreted as the right to legalize euthanasia if the patient so chooses. It reads, "No state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." Opting to end one's life not only ends individual pain and suffering, but limits the financial burden of extending the inevitable. This also helps the family left behind to cope with a peaceful goodbye, knowing their loved ones didn't have any discomfort. This precious decision should not be left in the government's hands. A strong belief of having the choice to determine the state in which one passes allows the patient's memories to be savored at the moment in time before deterioration sets in, says Andre. For example, how people die irrevocably influences how we remember them. Being remembered or remembering our loved ones as helpless, pain-wrecked, or sedated are not the last memories anyone wants to carry, says Andre. This is an important and very personal matter of freedom of choice and should be considered in this situation. The choice of individual, not the government. Euthanasia should be evaluated and made legal for those that are terminally ill and suffering. A patient should have the right to choose for themselves as their human dignity is in question. Many people are forced to spend their last days on earth experiencing excruciating pain and accumulating astronomical medical expenses, which could have been avoided if euthanasia was an option. I have watched both my aunt and my great-grandma go through a long, drawn-out process, and an unpleasant death really opened my eyes to the benefits of euthanasia. Listening to how my great-grandma reached up on her deathbed, grabbed my mother's arm, and begged her to make it stop broke my heart. She was so tired. She said she was tired, wanted to die, and to please make it happen. The feeling of letting her down really took a toll on my mom. With specific guidelines, the humane action would eliminate patients from suffering. It is normal as a human being to want to end life with peace, dignity, and without unbearable pain. Most people, if given the choice, would rather end the life in a controlled, pain-free environment to comfort families. Guaranteed, if in that situation, my family would most definitely want to pass in peace, knowing our loved ones did not suffer. Thank you for watching. Alright, here they are again.